into this circle of loss. Come into this circle of memory. Come into this circle of love. I am Reverend Sharon Wiley, the minister here at Chalice Unitarian Universalist congregation. And it is my great privilege to welcome you to this celebration and memorial of the life of Audrey Anderson. We are gathered here this afternoon to honor and celebrate Audrey's life, one that touched so many people with love, laughter, friendship, and music. Today we will share song, memories, and words that will invoke fond memories, some that will make us laugh, some that will invite our tears, if only because of how dear we held this most special of women. We are also called to be together at this time when being together is so important. Grief shared is not as great a burden as grief held inside. We especially hope to offer love and comfort to Audrey's family, her husband Don, daughter Amanda, and granddaughter Cassie. In the weeks and months to come, let us continue to offer our love and support to Audrey's family. And finally, we gather to remind ourselves of our own responsibilities in the face of the brevity of life. Life is fragile and fleeting, and every moment we are given is precious. May each of us live our moments as fully and as lovingly as Audrey lived hers. May our service today honor Audrey well. Come into this circle and stay a while. It is our Unitarian Universalist tradition to light a chalice at the beginning of our gatherings. I'd like to invite Audrey's granddaughter, Cassie Dorman, forward to light our chalice today. The words come from Reverend David Breeden. In this time of loss, in this time of asking why, we light a flame of sharing. We light a flame of commitment. In this time of why, we light this flame, sign of our searching, sign of our sharing, sign that together we remember. Together we ask why. Together in sadness and joy we share light. Together we celebrate what we are together.
I recently had another birthday, and I'm now in my 80th year. So there's a song I like to sing. It's the only song that I sing, but I'm still singing it, and it's all about old bones. Old bones inside of old blue jeans. Old bones inside of old shoes. Old friends from the hotel stop by to wish me well and bring me up to date on all the old news. Sometimes I have me a whiskey, and then I fall asleep in my chair, and I dream that I'm someone much younger than I am, Though I might not be much more than I've ever been, just to have the chance to turn back the hands and let our lives begin. Oh yeah, we'd like to do it again. Well, it's time now for taking it easy. It's time for taking it slow. Old bones don't move so fast as they did once in the past. Now if I have to run, I simply don't go. But I love life, I'd like to do it again. Though I might not be much more than I've ever been, just to have the chance to turn back the hands and let our lives begin. Oh yeah, I'd like to do it again. Oh yeah, I'd like to do it again. Well, it's time now for taking it easy. It's time for taking it slow. Old bones don't move so fast as they did once in the past. Now if we have to run, we simply don't go. But we love life, we'd like to do it again. Though we might not be much more than we've ever been, just to have the chance to turn back the hands and let our lives begin. Oh yeah, we'd like to do it again. Oh yeah, we'd like to do it again.
Audrey Mary Anderson was born March 18, 1936, in London, England, to parents William and Celia Stonehouse. Audrey was the oldest of 3 sisters. Her father was in the British military, and much of Audrey's childhood was impacted, of course, by World War II. She lived for a time with her grandparents in North England, with aunts, uncles, and cousins nearby. She often told the story of living in Liverpool during the war, when the city was a target for German bombers. The family would spend nights at an air raid shelter. Audrey remembered her mother singing along with the radio during those stressful times. She also remembered having to carry a gas mask with her at all times. She had nightmares about Hitler. After the war, the family moved to Germany, where Audrey's father worked with British factory owners to help rebuild the country. Audrey attended a British boarding school there and spoke fluent German. The friends she made there, British and Canadian students, became friends she kept in touch with her whole life. After Audrey graduated from high school, the family moved to Toronto, Canada, where Audrey's father started a machine tool business. He also bought a flying school, and Audrey learned to fly. As an adult, Audrey lived very intentionally. She made plans, and she met them. She went to business school in Toronto and became a legal secretary. She also worked in business administration. An early marriage brought Audrey 2 children, Leslie and Suzanne, who grew up living with their father. By 1976, Audrey was divorced with a young daughter, Amanda. Audrey met Don at the Wednesday singles potluck at the Unitarian Church of Vancouver. Dawn was attracted to Audrey's smile and outgoing personality. Their first date was to dinner on Audrey's 40th birthday. Dawn brought Audrey one rose as a gift that evening. Audrey had several suitors at this time and had recently received a dozen roses. But she preferred the simplicity of Dawn's gift. It wasn't long before Audrey and Amanda moved in with Dawn, and they became a family. Remember, I said Audrey made plans and followed through on them. She had been plagued by allergies and wanted to live somewhere with better weather. Dawn was eligible for United States citizenship because his father had been born here. Audrey had a good friend in Los Angeles and had visited Southern California and liked it. So they made a plan to move to Southern California. As part of that plan, it made sense for Dawn and Audrey to be legally married, which they were on March 11, 1983, at the same church where they had met 7 years earlier. They moved to San Diego the next year, and then to the Bay Area in 1989 for Dawn's work, and they lived there for 10 years. As a mother, Audrey liked her time with Amanda to be active, and they did arts and crafts together, spent time outside, painted in the park. When it came to paid work, Audrey didn't want to travel any farther than 5 miles from her home in Santa Clara. So she drew a 5-mile radius on a map and looked for work in that area, becoming secretary to the City of Sunnyvale Arts Department. She eventually retired from work and enjoyed a home life filled with music, friends, and hiking. Audrey loved being outdoors, being in nature, being near the ocean. She loved to explore. She played tennis. She and Dawn shared a love of music. In the Bay Area, they were active members of Los Gatos Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. The family moved back to San Diego in 2000, where Dawn and Audrey enjoyed retirement together. When they had previously lived in San Diego, they were founding members of the UU Inland North County Fellowship, and they were glad to become part of Chalice when they returned. Of their many contributions here at Chalice, their most visible, of course, has been their music. One of Audrey's regrets in life came when her father was dying. He was clear that he was ready to go, and Audrey, in her love for him, had a hard time supporting him in his dying process. That regret came to inform her own clarity about her end-of-life wishes, and she was very clear with her family about what she wanted, so there would be no confusion when the time came. The stroke Audrey suffered in late June was unexpected. After initially thinking that rehabilitation was desirable, Audrey made it clear that she did not want to live in diminished capacity. She came home, entered hospice care, and died peacefully 3 weeks after her stroke. As she wanted, there is comfort for the family in knowing that her wishes were followed. She has been cremated, and her ashes are with us this afternoon here by our chalice in her mother's beautiful biscuit tin. Her ashes will be shared among her children. Audrey is survived by her husband, Don, her sisters, Sylvia and Christine, her son, Leslie, and his wife, Karen, by her daughter, Suzanne, and her husband, Taylor, by daughter, Amanda, and her partner, Mark, and by grandchildren, Mitchell, Matthew, and Cassandra. She leaves behind a legacy of love.
as Sharon mentioned, Audrey attended a British boarding school in Germany, and those are some of her fondest memories. She learned how to cook there, she learned how to draw there, she became a proficient horsewoman, she learned music, played the piano. She carried those life skills with her to the end of her time. At the age of 17, she moved to Toronto with her family, and she met, at that time, a woman named Agnes Wilkinson, who became her lifelong best friend. The two of them took flying lessons, and Audrey clearly outshone Agnes. Agnes was really there to meet the boys. So she didn't carry on, but Audrey did. And Audrey became a very proficient pilot. She went on to obtain her commercial flying license, her IFR certification, her land and sea certification, and her multi-engine certification. In those times, that was unheard of for a woman. She had so much courage and determination, nothing would get in her way. She flew for her father's charter company in Canada, and on one particular occasion, she was taking 3 fishermen to the Northern Territories. They came upon a thunderstorm that was very severe. She couldn't go over it, she couldn't go around it, she couldn't turn back. So she had to land the aircraft in a farmer's field. She landed the aircraft safely. 10 minutes later, the skies broke open. It poured torrential rain. She knows that had she not done that, they would have not have made it. The only problem is the 3 fishermen were very large men, and the field was not long enough to take off with all of them aboard. So the friendly farmer decided to take the 3 men to the nearest town, and she decided to fly the aircraft out of there herself, which she did, barely clearing the treetops. There was a group of women that decided to make a flying club and race aircraft. They all met. These were women from the United States, Canada, other places. And it turns out that there were 99 of them that showed up. So they became the 99 Club. And they sponsored races all over the place. In one of her first races, they flew from Toronto to Havana, Cuba. It took 4 stops to make it. She ended up in 17th place out of 33 aircraft. And of those 33 aircraft, only 17 made it. She came in last place, but she didn't care. She was 20 years old and had done an incredible feat, and she was very proud of herself. When she got to Cuba, and she was in 17th place, they were actually awarded her the Tail End Tony Award. And they were treated like royalty in Cuba. She said it was a wonderful experience. In her next race, she decided to go solo, and she did so with 12 other competitors, and she got 2nd place by 1 minute. However, she ended up stealing the show because the gentleman that got 1st place got no attention. She was 9 months pregnant when she flew. And she delivered her son Leslie 4 days later. She was invited to be on the Civil Air Emergency Corps of Canada, which is probably equivalent to our National Guard, and she served well. In her last race, she and her sister were flying to the Bahamas, and they had to go over the Appalachian Mountains. They calculated, thought they had plenty of fuel, and of course 7 miles from the airport at the Appalachian Mountains, the engine sputtered and they ran out of gas. She landed the aircraft in another field. This time it was an alfalfa field with lots of groundhog holes. And as they approached the fence and were about to hit the fence, she slammed on the brakes, and the plane promptly flipped over on its back. She hung there from a seatbelt, feeling, wow, this is a strange position. She and her sister got out of the aircraft unscathed. Two other women that were flying in that race were only a few miles away and had made it to the airport, and they offered to take Audrey and her co-pilot with them to finish the race to the Bahamas, which they did. We stumbled upon some emails recently, one dating back to 2011. Her friend Fee had lost her husband Ken, and she confided in Audrey about her loss, and Audrey was there to support her. She reached out, consoled her, and helped her to get through it. She was one of her most dear friends. An email came in recently after Audrey's death from her long-life best friend, Agnes Wilkinson. They were matron and maid of honors at each other's weddings. When Agnes moved to Los Angeles, Audrey thought that was a pretty good idea to move to Southern California, so she and Don followed and settled here in Rancho Bernardo. Agnes said in her email that it was a pleasure to have her as her best friend. Her cousin Jim wrote an email. They were born a week apart. She was very fond of Jim, and they had a lifelong, lasting relationship. Every time he talked to her, she was interested in the family and in the old country of England. Her cousin Bill's daughter Sylvia also wrote. Sylvia had never met Audrey, but the stories her father had told greatly inspired Sylvia that Audrey was a spirited, strong, compassionate woman, and she thought of her as her mentor. In Audrey's memoirs, which were quite lengthy, there was a short essay in there called "To Remember Me." And to summarize it, let my deathbed be considered the bed of life. Give my organs to others so that they may prosper. Use the rest of my body for science, to better mankind. Burn what is left of me. Scatter the ashes in the wind to help the flowers bloom. If you must bury something, let it be my faults, my weaknesses, and prejudice against my fellow man. Give my sins to the devil and my soul to God. Don also received a card after Audrey's death from his sister and their family. And in there was a short poem. Those we love do not go away. They walk beside us every day. Unseen, unheard, but always near. Still loved, still missed, and very dear.
Let's try this one more time. Okay. My Nana was great at so many things. Art, cooking, and of course making music. I remember every spring we would make homemade paper and cards, and we would go to pizza night for bluegrass or jam session. But my favorite part was when I would walk into her house after school, and I could hear music playing and the smell of her soup cooking on the stove, and I would walk into the kitchen and be greeted with a warm smile and a nice hug. Nothing will really be the same without our love, but we all know it's still in our hearts. Thank you.
My mom made such an impact on people.
She always tried to make everything she touched a little bit better, prettier, stronger. I started writing this tribute with her before she passed. It was a gift to be able to share this list of adjectives with her. I suppose I might be a little biased, but I doubt anyone here would argue. My mom was not just colorful, she was vibrant. She was beautiful, incredibly creative, and both artistically and musically talented. She was quick with a smile, truly caring, accepting, and thoughtful. She was also smart, charitable, adventurous, brave, resourceful, frugal, determined, reliable, and organized. Mom was skilled and creative in the kitchen as well, and always strived to cook us healthy foods. Once, when I was about 9, she put tofu in my birthday cake to try to make it. Needless to say, some of her healthy efforts were more appreciated than others. Mom did her stretching exercises every day, and nothing made her feel better than a good walk. That was her favorite therapy. And that's one of the reasons that I don't think she wanted to go on, unable to do the things that made her feel good. She took fantastic care of her teeth. These little round circles of floss next to her empty cup of tea showed where she had spent her morning. She believed everything in moderation. For example, she loved Klondike bars, but she felt they were far too big. So she'd cut them into 9 pieces so she could have just a taste or 2 at a time. My mom taught me to live with intention. She knew it was possible to do amazing things, and she proved it. She was always reading, researching, and learning something new to improve her life or her world. She was a thinker, a planner, and a worrier. She set goals and worked hard to achieve them. She taught me that it's okay to be scared, but not to let it stop me from doing what needs to be done. Never to let fear of failure or concern about what others might think hold me back. So even when I'm feeling scared and broken, I know my mom would tell me to put a smile on my face, keep my chin up and my shoulders back. The show must go on, and it does. It's funny, as a kid, you feel like you've heard all the stories so many times. It's surprising to me how much more I have learned about her since she passed, and I couldn't be more proud. Going through her lifetime of photographs was awe-inspiring. She traveled so many places, had amazing adventures, and made countless friends all over the world. Her memoirs, including her flying stories, are on the table, and I plan to make these available electronically as well. Her story is fascinating, inspiring, and deserves to be heard. There are so many people that loved my mom that were not able to travel to be here, and I don't think the church would have helped them all. I'm grateful that we will be able to share this with them later. Thank you to everyone that has helped make this day so special. And finally, thank you, Mom, for teaching me to be a strong, independent woman and how to sparkle. Thank you for giving me the inspiration and courage to experience everything that life has to offer. And thank you all for being a part of my mom's life.
words from poet Robert Noel Test were among Audrey's notes about her end-of-life wishes. Give my sight to the man who has never seen a sunrise, a baby's face, or love in the eyes of a woman. Give my heart to a person whose own heart has caused nothing but endless days of pain. Give my blood to the teenager who was pulled from the wreckage of his car so that he might live to see his grandchildren play. Give my kidneys to one who depends on a machine to exist from week to week. Take my bones, every muscle, every fiber and nerve in my body, and find a way to make a crippled child walk. Explore every corner of my brain. Take my cells, if necessary, and let them grow so that someday a speechless boy will shout at the crack of a bat, and a deaf girl will hear the sound of rain against her window. Burn what is left of me and scatter the ashes to the winds to help the flowers grow. If you must bury something, let it be my faults, my weaknesses, all my prejudice against my fellow man. Give my sins to the devil, give my soul to God. If by chance you wish to remember me, do it with a kind deed or word to someone who needs you. If you do all I have asked, you will live, for I will live forever. I invite you to rise in body or spirit and join me in singing hymn number 123, Spirit of Life. For those of you who know the tune, the words are projected. Time is too slow for those who wait, too swift for those who fear, too long for those who grieve, too short for those who rejoice. But for those who live, time is an eternity. Hours fly, flowers die. New days, new ways pass by. Love stays. I'd like to thank you on behalf of the family for coming. After this portion of the service, we'll gather on the patio for refreshments for 20 minutes or so. The open mic hootenanna will start here in the chapel. We'll have a small table up front for sign-ups for those who'd like to perform. There'll be a jar we'll draw from. Jeff Bertino will be the organizer if you know him. And now I'll invite Don to share a few words.
quite a woman, eh? And I feel the tradition living on with Amanda and Cassie. And thanks to Mark for being a part of our family too. And I wrote my notes. You never know, I might even forget my own name. Is it Don and Audrey, or is it Audrey and Don? Either way, as the Brits would say, I miss me mate. And it's okay to laugh and cry and smile, and I got it all written down here too. That's okay. We look back, maybe I didn't say I love you quite near enough, but I know she knew her big smile at me as I brought her a cup of tea in the morning. And the fact I never snuck out of bed without 10 more important cuddles and start the day. She knew just how much I valued it as well, that I did tell her. I'd ask if I could help in the kitchen. Get your guitar and play me a tune, she'd say. Somewhere, my love, there will be songs to sing. So along with our family, thanks to the support of the Chalice friends and music friends, tennis friends, artist friends, old time and neighbor friends, friends, and also, the people listed in the handout, and to Reverend Sharon for her patient guidance. And so we've asked Deborah to lead us with her song. While we're here, we should sing.
Okay, thank you. Okay, this is Rose Scabelli who's going to help me.
What I wanted to say is a testament to Audrey's life that this place filled up so quickly. There's standing room and sitting room only outside. It was lovely hearing all the family members. So it wasn't this and this is
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Who said no? Well, I am truly honored that the family asked me to share this song that I wrote about 20 years ago. I didn't know Audrey at the time, but she always liked the song. And she indeed adhered to the philosophy of while we're here, we should sing. She did share her singing, her music, and her generosity, and Don as well, with everyone she knew. So, this is While We're Here, We Should Sing. I'm going to have you all join me by the time you've heard the chorus the third time, so pay attention. Life isn't easy, everybody admits. The harder you struggle, the harder it hits. Sometimes you feel like calling it quits. It's a wearisome, tearisome thing. Just when you're thinking you're sailing home free, you're suddenly zapped by adversity. Life ain't the party we hoped it would be, but while we're here we should sing. You gotta sing a song when you get a raw deal. When things go wrong, it has the power to heal. Just sing along, what a beautiful feeling it can bring. Life may Life isn't easy, everybody admits. The harder you struggle, the harder it hits. Sometimes you feel like calling it